Just ahead on American Black Journal, one of my favorite shows of the year, the world's largest free jazz festival, is back to entertain in-person audiences. We're going to talk about the changes that are planned for the Detroit Jazz Festival. Plus, this year's official poster is going to be unveiled right here on our show. And we'll have a performance by jazz great Dee Dee Bridgewater. Stay right there. American Black Journal starts now.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by AAA, Nissan Foundation, Ally, Impact at Home, UAW Solidarity Forever, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson, and as always, I'm glad you decided to join us. Labor Day weekend tradition in Detroit is back with live public performances this year. The Detroit Jazz Festival is going to once again entertain in-person audiences after going all virtual last year because of the pandemic. There's going to be COVID-19 safety precautions in place, and the festival footprint has been revised a bit to encourage social distancing. I sat down with the president of the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation, Chris Collins, along with one of the performers, trumpeter Keyon Harrold, and the artist who created this year's Jazz Fest poster, Judy Bowman. So, Chris, I'm going to start with you. Last time you and I talked about all of this, it was a little bit of a wet blanket on everything because of the pandemic, and it was about how to keep Jazz Fest going when we couldn't all be together. This year, things are looking a lot brighter. Things are looking a lot more optimistic. Tell us what Jazz Fest is going to be like.
Yes, optimistic indeed. Although last year, a personality called it the miracle at the Marriott. The stream that we did, which I thought was cool, reached 1 million people, 32 different countries. It was really quite special. We're very proud of it, and my team worked their tails off to make it happen in a beautiful way. This year, we moved cautiously because while we're optimistic to be sure, we do not want to turn our backs on the potential of threats and some of the challenges that individuals and communities see. So we really wanted to come at it as in-person, live, all the great jazz festival elements everyone loves, but with a very careful consultation and adjustments that give us options on the footprint of ways to experience the festival. So this year we are still on the full footprint from Hart Plaza all the way up to Cadillac Square, multiple stages, all intersecting at once, all completely free. But the biggest difference is you'll see, in addition to, we're going cashless this year. We're going to have a lot of health reminders and hand sanitizers and things, but also to give people options of their jazz festival experience. So the first night we have, our artist in residence, the great Dee Dee Bridgewater, followed by the legend Herbie Hancock. If you can't find the seat you'd like at the stage, if it gets kind of packed, we have overflow areas with large screens throughout the footprint. You can choose to do that. It's all completely free. If you want to be a little more isolated, you can choose the Lincoln Garden experience, where you're up above looking down on the stage. You can also buy tickets for VIP, which allows you a sanctioned seating area in front of each stage, and you can buy those things throughout the day. So a lot more people have access to that than before. You don't have to spend a ton of money. You can pick the day you want to have that experience. And so you put all that together with our app, Detroit Jazz Fest Live, and a free companion broadcast we're doing of select sets throughout the entire festival. So if you choose that it's just too much, or someone in your household has secondary issues or things of that nature, and you just want to enjoy the festival from home, you have the option to do it. So we thought this was the best approach to health and safety. Options. How do you want to experience the festival? And once you get there, it's going to be a mixed, multi-generational artists, everything falling from the jazz tree, as we know, but still all of the wonderful ways that can be experienced and created through the artistry that's going to be on site.
Yeah. And of course, we have become accustomed here on American Black Journal to unveiling the Jazz Festival poster each year. This year's no different. So, Chris, tell us about the poster and then show it to us.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, we have the artist with us today, Judy Bowman. Hey, Judy, how are you? We select an artist every year to commission an original work, and that work becomes the heartbeat of the poster itself. And we did that this year with Judy. She has an amazingly unique vocabulary and a voice in the art world. So I'm going to jump right onto it. A little light adjustment, unveiling in 2 seconds. Check it out. All right. The 2021 Detroit Jazz Festival poster by Judy Bowman. Here it is.
Oh,
yes.
That is so wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Bravo.
Okay, so Judy, welcome to the American Black Journal, but tell us about this poster, what inspired it, and what you're depicting here.
Well, I have always enjoyed seeing photos of musicians because they look like they are always so into what they're doing and the expressions on their face, and they always look so cool. And my cousins, my male cousins, they always enjoyed jazz, and they just look so like they were always in a groove, a special place. And so I've kind of grown up looking at photographs of musicians, and they just always fascinate me and bring me like, these guys really are into their craft. Yeah. They are really into their craft. And that's what I try to put in this particular poster, and I think it looks great. Yeah. And so I do a lot of musician people because I just love their composure.
So one thing I notice in the portrait or the depiction here is the expression that each musician has. They're not just playing, they're playing expressively. And I think that's a really key part of jazz, of course, but it's also a key part of the Jazz Festival, that attitude that they all have. It's an
attitude, it's a swag. It's about me and my instrument and the music I'm creating. And that's in all of the photographs I've seen and musicians playing live. It's like nobody else is there. And it's just about the instrument, the music, and the creativity. And that's what I love seeing.
Yeah. So speaking of musicians and the music that we're going to hear at Jazz Festival, we do have Keyon Harrold, the trumpeter, who is one of the musicians performing. Keyon, welcome to American Black Journal.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How are you?
It's great to have you here with us. This is the part where I always wish we were still live in studio, because we would be having Keyon play for us for the show. But Keyon, tell us what it means to you to be part of the Detroit Jazz Festival.
Oh, it means a great deal, especially knowing what we've all gone through the last year and some months, to be playing live and to really feel the energy of a live audience. There's nothing like it. I had the opportunity to do maybe one of the first gigs back in front of people in New York City at the Blue Note a few weeks ago, just to get a precursor to what it might be like with so many more people at the Detroit Jazz Festival. It's going to be an amazing experience. It's going to be electric. I can feel it already.
Yeah. So Keyon, I always think that that artists, whether they're musicians or painters or other kinds of artists, they draw on the things that happen to us in our lives to shape the art, and that tragedy kind of holds a special place in that inspiration. So I'm curious about what you've experienced in the last year, and how you think that might change you as an artist.
Interesting. This last year has been trying on so many levels. I've definitely written about the idea of tragedy. I have a song called Love in Tragedy, in the context of it, because in that working that happens in our lives, the things that we can't control, there's only one way to fight or flight. For me, one thing specifically that happened to me and my son in New York City, it was tragic, but at the same time, it created a platform to really speak on injustice, to speak on racial bias, to speak on different issues that needed a proper platform. And as an artist, I've always spoken out. Being from Ferguson, Missouri, the platform of social justice has always been one that I've always taken up as a musician, in my writing, in the things that I say. I always take an opportunity to speak on the injustice. Musically, it's an opportunity for full expression, and I don't shy away from that. So I love these kind of opportunities. It hurts in the beginning, but at the same time, the beauty can really take over and inspire.
Yeah, you referenced this incident with your son in New York City with a woman who assaulted him after accusing him falsely of taking her phone. Talk just a little about, I think as African Americans, we're becoming more and more aware of things like this that happen to us in many different places. But you've now experienced it firsthand. Tell us how that changes your perspective on things.
Perspective wise, I mean, I'm very thankful for the accessibility of video, of cameras, because this is not something new. It's been happening since the days of Emmett Till and before that, where Black people have been accused and wrongfully incarcerated, wrongfully murdered, wrongfully abused for no reason, just because of the word of someone else. And that's something that just needs to stop. Being the victims of that, it definitely, there's nothing like being there. You know what I mean? In the context of perspective, it's nothing like being that person. So it's hard to really, it's hard. I can't go back from being that person. I can't go back from having to always speak about it. But I mean, I guess the blessing is I don't mind speaking about injustice. So it's not something I shy away from. In the context of it all, I think that's the reason why the story was such a big story, because I guess the tragedy in it is that so many people go through this every single day, but not many people have the platform to actually speak on it. Because when it happened to me, I spoke to the management, I spoke to the police department, I spoke to everybody, and I let them know. I said, listen, we should deal with this, deal with it correctly, because I have a little reach. So let's deal with it. And nothing happened. They didn't even respond to me, and it blew up. But the thing is, it went to, pretty much every country I have messages from, all over the world, from Japan to China to Iraq, of people really willing to be educated about injustices that happen to Black people, but at the same time willing to be supportive of it. So millions and millions of people reached out to me, and my son, about what happened. And I'm hopeful, hopefully many people have the opportunity to see themselves in a mirror as to what they could do in the context of the paradigm of how injustice starts, how racism is activated. The only thing it takes is for someone not to believe you.
Yeah.
And once that happens, it goes from the manager, then it goes to the police department, then it goes to the judge, then you're all of a sudden locked up or killed. And it happens so often. And in that incident specifically, I just thank God that I was actually there with my son. It could have went a very different
Gone
way.
very differently. Yeah.
I saw that.
Go
I
ahead, Jim.
saw that video on social media, and you are so correct. If you didn't have, if it wasn't videotaped, your credibility would have been just shot. Not that, I mean, they wouldn't have believed you at all. And yeah, that was really amazing.
Yeah. Judy, I wonder what the last year and the things that we've experienced have done in terms of inspiring your art. We can see in the background some of the things that you're working on, other depictions of musicians, but how does the pandemic and the social movements that we're experiencing play out on your art?
Well, I feel as an artist that I am a griot. I am here to tell the story, and I use my art to do that. It's my responsibility to make sure that I record from the perspective of a Black woman, a Black person. I'm a mother of many sons, and every time they go out the door, I just have a fear. And so it's my responsibility to share, to record, to put that fear out in my artwork. And I did a piece on George Floyd, and where he's calling out for his mom. And so when it's not so in the spotlight and all of that, they will know that people had this experience, and this is their perspective of it, not what's said in the newspaper or from some talking head, but from a person who actually was in it and felt it.
Yeah. So Chris, I always ask you to give me the highlights of the upcoming festival. Who should I mark my calendar I see?
Well, always the exciting part is the inspiration, and this year has provided a lot, and we've got a taste of it here. And I think it's a very meaningful piece of this year's Detroit Jazz Festival, and it's why we work so hard to get it in person, but appropriately and safely. Some of the special sets are going to include, there's a 100th anniversary celebration of Charlie Parker, 100th anniversary celebration of Dave Brubeck with his family, and some family selected video elements worked into the performance, along with some of the greats. Monty Alexander sticks in my mind because Monty called me specifically after we worked out the details to let me know that he spent a lot of time of his early life playing with Bags right here from Detroit, and he was talking to me about how he couldn't wait to bring some of that influence and beauty on stage, even though people know him for his Caribbean stuff. Those early years that meant so much to his development and what Bags brought to his life. And I thought that's the kind of vibe that's so cool at the Jazz Fest. We have these folks that are really inspired, invested in the Detroit sound and the great artists of Detroit. And speaking of that, we have a great homecoming. Kenny Garrett will be with us this year. We have some special sets. Kurt Elling is doing a 2-hour set called The Big Blind, which has a dramatic narrative. He's written this amazingly beautiful piece with orchestra, big band, a bunch of guests, and it'll be the first time that we've ever presented anything like this. We also have a great set with, if you can imagine, Manhattan Transfer and Take Six coming together. They're calling it the Summit on one stage at one time. It's going to be beautiful. Gregory Porter is with us. Of course, all the sets of our artists in residence, the great Dee Dee Bridgewater. I mentioned Herbie Hancock already. An incredible list of Detroit world-class artists, as always, will be part of that. And a few special sets, one that Keyon is doing in the light of the challenges of this year and the challenges educational institutions faced. A lot of bands have not been rehearsing, right? So what we did is we went around to all the regional universities, had them nominate their very best students, and we've put them together into something of a collegiate all-star big band that will be accompanying Keyon, one of his 2 sets on Monday, and it'll bring the community together in a particular generation with Keyon as a mentor and leader in a very unique way. And these are the moments that speak to what we want to celebrate in Detroit and celebrate at the Detroit Jazz Festival. And we think we've got a hell of a lineup for all 4 days that people will feel that from top to bottom.
Yeah. Well, again, it is one of my favorite events of the year, and that makes this one of my favorite shows of the year. So Chris Collins, Keyon Harrold, and Judy Bowman, thanks to all of you for being here. And I cannot wait for just a few weeks from now when the Jazz Festival kicks off. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Stephen.
The Detroit Jazz Festival runs from Friday, September 3rd through Labor Day, September 6th. You can check out the lineup at DetroitJazzFest.org, and you can find out more about today's guest at AmericanBlackJournal.org. We're going to leave you now with a really powerful performance by the Jazz Festival's 2021 artist in residence, Dee Dee Bridgewater. Enjoy, and we'll see you next week.
Them that's got shall get, and them that's not shall lose. So the Bible says, and it still is news. Your mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. All that's got his own. Yes, the strong get more, while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets, empty pockets, empty pockets, so they do not break the grave. Your mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. That's got his own. not be there. You won't find it. They will not come back knocking on your door. Reach the nations, give across the bread and such. Help yourself. Just don't take too much. Now, mama, she may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Oh.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by AAA, Nissan Foundation, Ally, Impact at Home, UAW Solidarity Forever, and viewers like you. Thank you.